How we doing, folks? Hope you're doing well. I've been outside today and the weather's gorgeous. I hope you've had a chance to get outside yourself. I'm recording this on Tuesday, so I don't know what the weather is like now as you're watching this, but it has been nice, and I hope you've been able to take advantage of it in whatever kind of capacity we can do that. Hey, couple quick things before I send you on your way. First of all, we have this, this new block schedule set up. I hope that's making things more manageable for you. This kind of every other day, essentially, schedule for you. And then on Fridays, we kind of try to mop up, catch up, do those kinds of things. As always, if you have any sort of hiccups or questions or concerns, by all means, email me. Message me, whatever you need to do, and we'll get that straightened out. I think we should probably maybe look into having some office hours moving forward starting next week. We'll see how that goes. I don't want you to feel obligated, but I also want to give you the outlet to, just kind of touch base if you feel like you need to. So that being said, let's talk about your last assignment. Your last assignment had, it was called Everything Has Its Place. And it was more of a thought exercise than anything else. I was hoping to get you to consider taking 10 different objects. I know they weren't really objects; it was all virtual. But those 10 different shapes that were different shapes, different sizes, different colors, and your goal was to try to group them, organize them, and come up with 5 different methods to do that. And it should be simple. You only have 10 items to worry about. But the reality is there's more than one way to carry that out. And then to decide which method is best, that's where we kind of, get into a lot of head scratching. What's the criteria? What makes that method the best method? And then again, stop and think about the fact that there was only 10 items. Imagine trying to organize, group, classify millions of different items, millions of different species. What criteria do you use? How do you prioritize those criteria? You can see where it gets a lot more complicated. And also realize that it's not just one person making these decisions, it's hundreds, if not thousands of people. So classification is by no means a simple ordeal, but it's important. We need to classify because that's how we make sense of our world. We put things in different boxes, so to speak. That's what language does. Speaking of which, language. I have something for you to consider. If you take a look at one of the items linked below, you will notice that there's a dialect survey. I'd like you to take a look at it. It's just for fun. And it's just to help you realize how different we are in our language, even within the United States. So anyways, it's kind of a fun little thing to take a look at. And you can then look at on the map whether you're blue or red, I believe, to see if you fit in with everyone else in the region and how they speak. It's just another way of looking at classifying dialects. So, speaking of classifying, our first step in really this process is something called using a dichotomous key. Now, the easiest way to explain a dichotomous key would be to take a look at something like this. I was just reading this book. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these books before. They used to be huge when I was younger. I read a bunch of these when I was in elementary school. Choose Your Own Adventure. All right, so this is ancient. These pages are falling out, but I wanted to pull this out and read just a small little section to you. It says, this is page 42. It doesn't matter where we start because the point is, at the end of this little segment. It says, you can't see the utopian village because the view is blocked by trees, but you don't expect to have much trouble finding it once you cross the river, if you can cross the river. It's much deeper and running more swiftly than appeared from the canyon rim. You wade in up to your knees and stand there trying to work up enough courage to plunge in. At least you don't have to worry about fish or alligators, you think. There aren't any on the perfect planet. You spot a big log floating by. You climb on it. Maybe you can paddle your way across. Now, see, at this point, you have a choice. You have to decide. It's choose your own adventure, right? So it says, if you try to swim across, turn to page 103, okay? If you wade out to the log and climb on, turn to page 33. So you have these two options here at the bottom, right? This is very similar to a dichotomous key, because in a dichotomous key, you are trying to identify something based on characteristics, and at every step of the way, you have two options, option A or option B. Depending on which option you think matches your particular item better, you go to that spot, that next spot on the key. That's the point of a dichotomous key. So I've got a couple different options for you to take a look at today. Start off with a little link to a fish identification. Again, it's just practice. It's not a big deal. It just kind of gets you used to the idea of how a dichotomous key operates. There are, you just kind of run through it. It's not going to be graded or anything like that. And then there is a gizmo. I know you're going to roll your eyes at that, but the gizmo is a more kind of a traditional approach to teaching the dichotomous key. I'm going to throw the worksheet on there as well. It is not due. I don't want you to submit it. It's just there to help guide you through the process if you choose to follow the gizmo as it's intended to be laid out. The most important part of the gizmo is the 5 questions. The 5 questions at the end of the gizmo. That's what I'd like you to answer and submit. Now, those are the 5 online questions. Those are the things I'll be looking for from you to grade the gizmo, okay? So I'm not worried about the guide, the worksheet. I'm not worried about the fish identification. Those things are just help. They're just there to support you, to walk you through the process. It's the 5 questions at the end of the gizmo that I'm most interested in, okay? So nothing is going to be found in the classwork side of things. It's all going to be in the stream, okay? So take a look at that, and my goal is to have you wrapped up with that Friday at some point, so next week we can turn the page and get into our new stuff, okay? So today is all about dichotomous keys. Choose your own adventure, right? Oh, I did realize that last video I was about to play a song for you, and it got cut off. So I'm gonna make it up to you. Here's that song. Okay? I gotta remember how it goes. Oh yeah, I remember now.